It's emotion plus repetition equals long-term memory. So I learned this in a masterclass ages ago, and it really works for me. So the two key parts of any learning technique you develop has to have some sort of emotion in it, because that's how you remember. Either you visualize it or you associate it with a memory or a smell. And then repetition is you just kind of keep testing yourself again and again, and then that will undoubtedly stick in your head. So the next thing I'd like to talk about then is how do we actually use this formula then? So I like to think of it as a kind of like a learning triangle. So it's a little bit messy, with three parts to it. So the first part is comprehension. So this is the part that goes on the top because it takes the most time. So you can't really learn anything if you don't understand it. To get the top 9 or 8 grade at GCSE, you have to be able to think and to apply your knowledge to the harder questions. You can't just kind of spurt out the facts. So to do this, I would recommend as soon as you have a question when you're learning it in school, take a note of it and ask your teacher like immediately. So what I used to do is I used to as I was revising, I'd put a question on a post-it note saying on something I didn't understand, and I'd stick that in my school planner, and then I'd bring it next lesson and I'd take off the post-it note and literally go up to the teacher with it and ask, and then make sure to make notes after that as well, but make sure to do it as soon as possible. So ask questions ASAP. And then in terms of specific kind of like resources I use to understand things more, well, I use BBC Bitesize quite a lot. I'm sure a lot of you have used it. Something called free science lessons as well. I think mostly it's to do with AQA, the exam board, but I think they might have EdXL as well now. But this man helped me so much. So do check out his videos. They give you very specific broken down advice in like by the spec point. So I thought that was great. And also CGP is also a classic that a lot of people used. So that's kind of the comprehension part. It might take a while to get your head around, but make sure to ask if you are stuck. And then the second part to kind of revising and learning is active recall. So you might have come across this, a lot of like study tubers and people talk about this, but it's basically about thinking about things yourself. So not having, say, like someone tell you the fact, but you have to be able to remember it. So a lot of testing sites have this, obviously you have Quizlet, so I'm going to actually go through all the different ways you can do this. So flashcards, a lot of you might already know, but what a lot of people don't know is with flashcards, they tend to write everything down, right? They write the question, then on the back, they write everything. But what I like to do is I literally like to write like the keywords. So for example, I literally write the keyword from the spec, maybe draw a symbol, say if it was like biology, I might draw like a leaf or something. And that should be enough to trigger your learning. And then obviously on the back, you can elaborate, can write the exact mark scheme answer. But when you're testing yourself, don't put too many words on it. It's all about having these emotional cues and triggers, this visualization in your head. So I would see the picture of a leaf, for example, and then it'd trigger my memory and think, oh, well, I can think about how the leaf is built, like the structure, how, you know, respiration or whatever topic you're doing. So keep it really brief on one side. And test regularly. So I recommend, even if it's like 5 minutes a day after school, pick a subject and literally test yourself on that flashcard, and it would literally build up. You would be thanking yourself at the end, because consistency is the key to learning really well. Again, our repetition part of long-term memory. And then the third and final part is the consistency, which I talked about, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to do this. So consistency and repetition. So this is at the bottom of the pyramid because it takes the least amount of time. You know, you can literally build this into your daily routine, which I'll talk about a bit more later, but this is just a comprehensive overview of the key things you need to keep in mind in order to learn well.